PTSD and first responders are now an important part of Oklahoma workers' compensation law because police officers, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and other emergency personnel can suffer serious psychological injuries while responding to traumatic events. First responders in Creek County may encounter fatal accidents, violent crimes, fires, overdoses, child injuries, domestic violence calls, medical emergencies, and other events that leave lasting emotional and mental health consequences. How Oklahoma law treats mental injury. Claims under Oklahoma workers' compensation law, a mental injury or illness is generally not compensable unless it is caused by a physical injury to the employee. This rule has historically made PTSD claims difficult when the worker suffered psychological trauma without a direct physical injury. That rule does not apply the same way to certain first responders. Oklahoma law now states that the physical injury requirement does not apply to a victim of a crime of violence, a law enforcement officer, a paid or volunteer firefighter, an emergency medical technician employed full-time by a municipality, county, or the state, or a volunteer firefighter who suffers PTSD while responding to an emergency. This is an important change because it recognizes that first responders may suffer real work-related injury from trauma, even when they do not suffer a broken bone, back injury, burn, or other physical harm. Who may be covered? The Oklahoma PTSD exception applies to specific categories of workers. These may include law enforcement officers, paid firefighters, volunteer firefighters, and emergency medical technicians who meet the statute's requirements. It may also apply to victims of crimes of violence. For Creek County workers, this may include first responders working in or around Sapulpa, Bristow, Drumright, Manford, Kellyville, Mounds, Kiefer, Depew, Oilton, and surrounding communities. The exact employer, job title, employment status, and circumstances of the emergency response matter. A worker should not assume coverage applies automatically. The claim must still be evaluated under Oklahoma workers' compensation law, including whether the employee falls within the protected category and whether the PTSD arose from a qualifying emergency response. What PTSD means in a workers' compensation case. PTSD is more than ordinary job stress. First responders often work under pressure, but a compensable PTSD claim requires more than a stressful shift, difficult supervisor, poor workplace morale, or general burnout. The claim should involve a medically supported diagnosis and a connection between the PTSD and the emergency response or traumatic work-related event. Symptoms may include intrusive memories, nightmares, avoidance, emotional numbness, hypervigilance, sleep problems, anxiety, panic, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and difficulty returning to work. Medical documentation matters. A claim is stronger when the worker receives proper evaluation and treatment from a qualified mental health provider who can address diagnosis, causation, treatment needs, work restrictions, and impairment when appropriate. Responding to an emergency. The phrase, "while responding to an emergency," is important. A first responder PTSD claim should be tied to an emergency response or traumatic event connected to the employee's job duties. The facts may include the nature of the call, dispatch records, reports, witness statements, body camera footage, run sheets, incident reports, and medical records. Examples may include responding to a fatal crash, a violent assault, a shooting, a fire involving injury or death, a child fatality, a suicide, a mass casualty event, or another severe emergency. Not every difficult work event will qualify. The evidence must show that the PTSD arose out of the covered emergency response. What benefits may be available? If a PTSD claim is accepted or proven, workers' compensation may provide benefits related to the injury. These may include authorized medical treatment, psychological counseling, psychiatric care, medication management, temporary disability benefits when the worker cannot perform job duties, and permanent disability benefits if the condition results in lasting impairment. The specific benefits depend on the medical evidence, work restrictions, the employee's ability to return to work, and the extent of impairment. Some claims may focus primarily on treatment and return to duty. Others may involve long-term restrictions or permanent impairment. Why these claims can be disputed? PTSD claims can be disputed for several reasons. The employer or insurance carrier may argue that the worker is not covered by the first responder exception, that the event was not a qualifying emergency response, that the condition is not PTSD, that the symptoms came from personal stress rather than work, or that the worker can return to duty without restrictions. These disputes make documentation important. A first responder should report the injury, seek appropriate treatment, follow medical recommendations, keep records, and avoid minimizing symptoms when speaking with medical providers. Do not ignore symptoms. First responders are often trained to push through difficult situations. That mindset may help during an emergency, but it can make PTSD worse if symptoms are ignored. Delaying treatment can also make a workers' compensation claim more difficult because the insurance carrier may question why the worker waited to report the condition. A first responder who is experiencing serious symptoms after a traumatic emergency response should seek medical help and legal advice. Early action can protect both health and legal rights. Creek County first responders should know their rights. Creek County first responders serve the public in difficult and dangerous conditions. When that service causes PTSD, Oklahoma workers' compensation law may provide a path to treatment and benefits. The law does not treat every stress claim the same, but it does recognize that certain first responders may suffer compensable PTSD, even without a separate physical injury. The success of a claim depends on the worker's job category, the emergency response, the medical diagnosis, the evidence connecting PTSD to the work event, and the worker's ability to prove the claim under Oklahoma law. If you are a first responder in Creek County and believe you developed PTSD after responding to an emergency, speak with an Oklahoma workers' compensation attorney as soon as possible.